Hey everybody, Brent Garrett here. I'm going to share with you a recipe that I found. Now, most of these recipes I don't come up with on my own. Actually, while poking around my All Recipes app, I found this recipe and I've tweaked it to make it maybe a little bit more healthy. But it has plenty of flavor. It's got tons of vegetables in it and a fair amount of protein. So it is a black bean and couscous salad. I bought this couscous at the store. It was in the natural aisle next to the quinoa. You can do quinoa too, but after a careful study, I noticed that the stats on the couscous and the quinoa were roughly the same. I think the quinoa might have like 1 more gram of protein per serving. So whether you want to use quinoa or couscous, it's up to you. I found, because I've tried the recipe both ways, the quinoa, it's really tough to get it fluffy. I don't cook it in a rice cooker. I cook it in a pan, just like I cook this in a pan. But I can't get it as fluffy as I can get the couscous. And so that texture really makes it nice for the salad. So it's your call on what you want to put in there. But just know that you're going to have to put twice as much liquid for the quinoa. So if you're going to use 1 cup of quinoa, you're going to have to use 2 cups of broth. As opposed to here, we're only using 1 cup of couscous and then 1.25 cups of broth. Which brings me to my next thing, which is they suggested chicken broth, and I went with vegetable broth, just because there's always a vegetarian that's somewhere, hopefully you're making this maybe for your family at night, or maybe you're making it to have guests come over. I don't know, but if there's a vegetarian, you want to kind of be cognizant of what you're presenting out there. And so just by switching, because the recipe originally called for chicken broth, but just by switching to vegetable broth. Now I chose this one right here. I chose this one because it's really thick. It has a ton of vegetables in it. Whereas like if I bought, say, a name brand, a store brand vegetable broth, it's really thin, really watery. So by choosing this brand here, I got a lot more flavor out of it. And so, once again, 1 cup couscous, 1.25 cups of the vegetable broth. The other thing you're going to need is some corn. I just got this size corn. It was 11 ounces. Okay, they make a couple different sizes, so that's 11 ounce size. And then the recipe on the app called for 2 cans of black beans, and I did a cup or a can and a half. So, because the black beans were a little overwhelming. But you can, if you don't want to waste anything, we use black beans a lot here at my house, so it doesn't matter. But if you want to just dump all 2 cans in, then so be it. No big deal. So, you got to bring the water or the broth to the boil, and then once it's boiling, you just dump the couscous in. This is the after effect. Now, it's just all, it's all just absorbed, and that's it. So, you got to bring it to a boil, put the couscous in, cover it, let it sit 5-10 minutes, whatever. Let it kind of, absorb all that broth. You don't need to really cook it. Couscous is very simple. You're gonna have to fluff it. So I want to get my hands in here and fluff this up. Now I might have let it sit a couple minutes too long. So if it said 5 minutes, you know what? This is probably not the best tool to use. So I'm gonna break into a fork. So there you go. There's the first thing I recommend. Use a fork to fluff it up. All right. So just as I'm doing this, I can talk. I made this 1 batch. I made 1 batch for, I think it was like 5 or 6 of us, and it disappeared. I'm gonna say there's 8 servings in here, but 8 people probably wouldn't be enough food. People really enjoyed this. So if you're gonna have 5 or 6 people, you can get away with maybe 1 batch of this. But if you're gonna have more than that and you want to serve this, I would probably make a double batch. It's just really tasty. It's gonna go well. It's gonna, you can put the potato salad out there, your barbecue, but if you put this out there, you're gonna get a lot of compliments, and people might even ask you for the recipe. So you can look like a stud, a chef, or whatever you want to call it, to your friends and family. All right, so I've got this pretty much fluffed up, so I'm gonna let that sit. Next, I gotta make the sauce, but I'm going to dump my ingredients in first. So this is all my corn. I'll put in the mixing bowl here. This is the 1.5 cans of black beans. Put that in there. Now and I hate this when you look at recipes. They say something like, "Oh, we need 2 cups of red pepper." I'm like, I have a red pepper, so guess what? I cut up 1 red pepper. Maybe it's like a cup and a half. I don't know. I don't care. I'm not going to cut up parts of peppers. I'm just going to cut the whole pepper, put it in. So you're going to find that as I give you recipes. That's just how I do it. So 1 red pepper. Now, you can see the little pieces that are left over. I chop it up really fine. Remember, the couscous is really small. The black beans aren't that big. The corn's not that big. So you really don't want the size of your red pepper chopped up to be any bigger than those items. You want to kind of all be the same size. If not, you can even make them smaller. So we got that. Now, I forget what the recipe called for, but a lot of people in their reviews, because I look at the reviews when I make this, they said there was way too much green onion. And so in my house, onions aren't a great thing. I don't mind them, but not everybody else in my house likes them. So I just use like 5 green onions. You probably get somewhere like 15, 20 green onions in a bunch. So I just cut up 5, real small. Put that in there. Now, the other thing is cilantro. I really like cilantro. I don't know how you feel about it, but I really like it. So this is probably like a third. When you get it in the supermarket, it comes in a bunch. I took about a third to a half of it, took off all the leaves, and then chopped it up really fine. And so that's basically what I'm left over with after about a third of the bunch chopped up. So I think the recipe might call for half that or even less than that, but I like cilantro. I think it provides a lot of flavor. It doesn't add really any calories, so I'm all for doing that. Alright, so there's all those pieces. We can mix those up, blend those together. It's a lot of colors, green, red. You get your black beans, you get your yellow from your corn. So it's a really colorful salad, so it makes for good presentation. Alright, so I'm going to let that sit for a second. Next is going to come the dressing that you're going to put on there. So, the recipe calls for 3 tablespoons of olive oil. I cut it down to 2. There's 120 calories in every tablespoon, so, and a fair amount of fat. So I cut that down to 2. Okay, and I'm gonna, with the write-up, I'm gonna give you all the measurements and everything you need for this. So if you didn't catch what I'm saying, no big deal. They call for a teaspoon of red wine vinegar. Okay, I got some, I don't know, it says it's aged, I don't know. Whatever, any red wine vinegar will do. I'm just going to do 1 tablespoon. I want to make up for some of that liquid lost by the, think about it, we were supposed to have 3 tablespoons of olive oil. We cut it down to 2. So I'm increasing the amount of red wine vinegar to make up for that liquid. So you kind of coat the whole salad evenly. Let's see here. They asked for limes. Okay, so you can do fresh limes. I just have some real lime juice. I like to keep it handy in the fridge. It's 2 tablespoons of that. So I'm going to put that in there. Now they put a half teaspoon of cumin. I found some cumin that was like on sale. It's this roasted whatever. It tastes pretty good, but regular cumin's fine. I just found this, and so I'm going to use it. If it's on sale, I'll consider it. They said a half teaspoon. I'm more like a full teaspoon, so I'm going to do 2 of those if I can. I really like the flavor of cumin. Once again, like anything I can add to add more, anything I can put in the recipe to add more flavor that is like calorie deficient, I'm going to do that. So you're going to find that that's kind of my motive behind adding more spices or more herbs and stuff like that. Alright, so we have all that in there. The other thing I like to put in is, they say you can salt and pepper to taste. I like to put a little garlic salt. Let's just do a half a teaspoon of garlic salt. I got my little baby whisk here. I find this thing's pretty handy. So I'm going to whisk it up and toss it in there. Now they recommend that you add this dressing to everything but the couscous. Like add the couscous last. Sorry, computer looked like it shut off for a second. Not in the middle of my recording. All right, so it's blended pretty finely, and as you blend it, it kind of blends pretty nicely into a like a salad dressing. So I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to get every little bit, last bit of it too, because it's all the flavor that makes it zing. Like the lime juice and the cumin together really put a lot of zing. That fat adds a lot of, the olive oil adds a little bit of fat that makes it savory. And then you get all these different textures in the salad. You know, you get the crunch from the corn and the red pepper. You get that texture from the beans. And then you're going to have the fluffiness from the couscous. And that's why I chose couscous over quinoa, because of the texture. So I've mixed all the dressing in there. Now all I got to do is just add the couscous. It makes a fair amount of food. So, I mean, I think I just had some people that had like 3 servings, you know, and that's okay. I mean, that's how much they liked it. You know, it was good. And that was the first time I made it, when I was messing around. So I made it a few times since then, you know, to play with it, practice with it, see if I like a different amount of ingredients in there, if I want to change a few things up. And I found that this is what I like. So I'm just going to mix it up a little bit here, and then that's it. It should be good to go. And it fills pretty much this whole mixing bowl. You know, so it looks a little something like this. So you can definitely see the quinoa, okay? If you want to put more of those black beans, you know, that other half can, that's fine. I mean, no big deal. But that's it. The stats for this meal. So if you separate that into 8 servings, what you're going to get is you're going to get about 230 calories per serving. You're going to have only 4 grams of fat. You're going to have somewhere around 43 carbs, okay, grams of carbs. And then you have just shy of 10 grams of protein. So the meal's a little bit heavier on the carbs, you know, this part. Okay, but if you pair this, like I can have a serving of this with, say, 6 or 8 ounces of grilled chicken breast, and then I got my magical stats, which are 50% protein, 30% carbs, 20% fats. That's the stats that I like right now. That's going to help me trim down and balance things out. I don't need that many carbs at this point in my life. If I start getting buff and huge, then I can start having more carbs. But until then, I'm going to have more protein. So like I said, serving of this, about 6 ounces of chicken, you got some really good numbers there. If you have your vegetarian, they put this with that boca burger or whatever they're eating, you know, that they're bringing. That's going to be really good. They're going to get probably somewhere around 12, 13 grams from their boca burger, and then they're going to get another 10 from here. So that's not a bad source of protein for those vegetarians who, you know, probably have a tough time getting, you know, protein from time to time. But that's it. So if you have any questions, you know, message me. Let me know what you think. If you want to put some different spins to it, if you want to put some more heat in it, maybe put some Tabasco. I don't know. You know, play with it. Let me know. I'd love to hear your feedback. So thanks for watching, and give it a try and tell me what you think.